Welcome to Inspired Living with Mark and Kim. Every Wednesday, Mark and Kim, along with their special guests, will explore thought-provoking topics and ideas that promote creativity, self-help, healing, happiness, and well-being to inspire you on your spiritual journey. Each week, Mark and Kim will discuss different paths to achieving a more spiritual, balanced, happy, and healthy lifestyle. Topics will elevate consciousness and range from metaphysics to the human and social experience, and all things spiritual. Welcome to an inspired community that offers support, encouragement, and new ways of thinking. Mark and Kim are tested, certified, and professional spiritual mediums, metaphysical teachers, healers, and spiritual advisors with their own individual spiritual practices in Seattle, Washington, and Los Angeles, California. You are the inspired and the inspiration.
And a warm welcome to our inspired listeners today. I have a huge smile on my face. Happy November. Thank you for joining us on Inspired Living with Mark and Kim. I'm Kim Thalken, founder of Love First, where life transformations happen in Encino, California, reminding you to always come from a place of love. And joining me today and every Wednesday is a beautiful soul and my co-host, Mark Lanehart, the intuitive prospector in the beautiful state of Washington. Mark, how you doing today?
I'm doing great. Hello, Kim. Happy Wisdom Wednesday to you and all of our inspired listeners. Right. And thanks so much to our listeners for tuning in and being a part of the show. I have to say, Kim, our social media pages have really grown in the last month. We're over on Facebook, Inspired Living Radio, and we're up to almost 400 listeners or followers of the page, which is just absolutely amazing. And same on Twitter for Inspired For Us. We're almost up to 250 followers, and we just appreciate all the support, listening in every Wednesday, and all the fantastic shows and guests that we have on and the topics. Today is no different. Part 2 of the Angel series, right? Boom, as we say.
Oh, it's going to be a boom, boom episode here because we've got so much to cover, and we've got questions that have poured in from all over the country. Everybody wants to receive guidance from their angels, and today is a perfect day to do that. But first, would you be so kind, Mark, to let our listeners know where they can find us on social media, and also, being November, what our positive affirmation is for the month?
I would love to. In fact, you said smile. You had a big smile on your face. And our positive affirmation for the month of November is smile and remember at the end of the day, your blessings outweigh your problems. And I'll just say that again. Smile and remember at the end of the day, your blessings outweigh your problems. And that is Inspired Living's November positive affirmation. So if you want to join in the conversation right now with us, we'll bring your questions live to air as best as we can. Head over to Facebook or Inspired Living Radio. Post your question right there on the message board, and Kim and I will be monitoring those and reading those. Or you can head over to Twitter, and that is Inspired For Us. That's the number for us. We're also on Instagram and Google+, Inspired Living with Mark and Kim, or Inspired For Us. If you do miss the live broadcast today, we are always have encore shows for on demand anytime you want to listen over at OMTimes Radio Archives. We're also on Podbean, SoundCloud, YouTube, and I have all the shows listed on my personal website, which is marklanehart.com, or just internet search The Intuitive Prospector. And Kim, with that, let's get rolling, because I know we have a lot of questions and a lot of people to get to about what the angels have to say, and I'll have you welcome in our special guest back again for some more.
All right. Love it. It's part 2. As we said earlier, today our special guest, Shamalah-Allah. She is an ordained minister from the Universal Life. She works as a church, and she works as a full-time ministerial counselor, a professional psychic medium and healer. She's also the author of Boundaries Beyond Death and Coincidence, How to Cleanse the Haunted Mind. It's available on Amazon and also her website, shamalah.com. All of Shamalah's contact information will also be on our Facebook page in case you miss it. She receives and delivers messages from angels, ancestor spirits, spirit guides, nature spirits, deceased relatives, and more. She specializes in, some of her specialties include, I should say, dream interpretation, future forecasting, past life readings, energy healings, karmic readings, medical intuitive readings, animal communication, exorcisms. Whoa, whoa, whoa. We'll save that for another show here. And house blessings. Currently, Shamalah-Allah lives in San Francisco, and she offers services at her San Mateo, California office, as well as answering people's questions from around the world via phone, email, and Skype. You can follow her on Google Plus at Reverend Shamalah-Allah. You can reach her by email at shamalah@gmail.com. And her phone number she can be reached at 650-719-0097. Shamalah, welcome back to the show again for part 2. We're so happy to have you here.
Hey, thank you. I am so happy to be back. Part 2. Let's go.
Well, I'll tell you, today's affirmation I thought was just so apropos with people writing in with all kinds of questions and concerns that they have about their life and wanting guidance. So today we're going to have a full show, but it's a nice reminder that everybody that wrote in with concerns or who didn't but has them, that their blessings will always outweigh their issues or the concerns or challenges in life. So remember that. And I think that'll help. And perhaps the angels will give us some tips on that as well.
Yes, I agree.
So Shamalah, last week we covered some really important topics in part 1, connecting to your angels and being able to do that in simply 3 minutes a day. So for everybody that wants to bridge the gap there and start
we may have lost Kim there. Kim, are you still on? Shamalah?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay. Yeah, we may have dropped Kim for the call, so let me see if we can bring her back. But as she was saying, part 1, we were covering some different topics, and part 2, what are the angels saying? So, Shamalah, what are the angels saying?
Well, the angels have a lot to say if you're willing to give them your time, meditate, be quiet, and receive their messages. Angels have a different language, if you will, and their language is primarily through thought and feelings. They communicate with pictures. They communicate with your thoughts. They communicate with your feeling. They communicate through the brain and through your heart. The key, though, is do you want to take the time?
Are we all connected?
Yeah.
There she is. She's back.
There you are.
Okay, Shamalah, we're all back. Okay, I'm not sure if I was live or not. I just continue talking. I'm just going to recap here. We talked about connecting to our angels in 3 minutes a day. And I wanted to make sure that our listeners know that one of your strengths is connecting people to their guidance. Okay,
Oh, yeah.
really important, because I want to say that is what guidance you gave to me, and I sat in 3 minutes of silence a day, and look at where I am now. And we know some other people that Shamalah has worked with as well that has happened to also. So with that said, Shamalah, do you have anything to add to that? You'd also talked about energy healing as a way of opening people up as well.
Oh, yeah. While the call was dropped there for a little bit, I was just saying that angels communicate almost with a different language, a spiritual language, through thought and feeling and through telepathy, really. And you just have to be willing to connect and take the time to learn how to do that. It's very, very subtle and very gentle. And so you have to allow the brain to get sensitive to those inklings, which requires the silence. And what I wanted to say, too, is after you do this for, say, I don't know, a couple of weeks or a month, you may want to double check with your friendly local spiritual healer. You can give Mark a call, give Kim a call, or give me a call, and check in and make an appointment and check in and see if you can get some validation or verification that you're on the right track with the communication with your guidance.
Excellent. And just again, and that's how I started, and I'm hearing my guidance very good. In fact, obviously I do readings now, and this is my life's path here.
Oh, yeah,
But it started with 3 minutes a day. So want to just emphasize to our listeners to, if you're interested in doing the same and connecting through, just reserve those 3 minutes a day. Now, before we get into the questions, Shamalah, let's talk a little bit about what's the difference between a psychic answer and a spiritual answer in a reading?
Good question.
Okay. If you get a psychic answer, first of all, the one's brain doesn't necessarily have to be connected to your spiritual guidance. It just has to be attuned to the vibrations of the environment or the person you may be connected to or wanting to ask about. But psychic information covers the who, what, when, where, when am I going to get that job? Who's the right guy? Does she like me? Is my child happy in school? Those kinds of things. A spiritual answer is going to take more of an objective look at your life. It's also going to look at possibly your karma and give you an answer that pertains to a better perspective. And I'm going to circle back to what you were saying before, is that the blessings are more than the burdens usually in people's lives. But the angels or your spiritual guidance will give you a different perspective on how to look at the problem or how to look at the solution to help you navigate through your life. And it's much more empowering. So instead of, when am I going to get that job? And the psychic answer is, you're going to get that job December 12th. Okay, that's a prediction. It may or may not come true. But the spiritual answer might be, instead of worrying about when you're going to get that job, maybe you have to take a look at your goals and what kind of job you want.
Okay. And Shamalah, hold that thought. We're going to be back in 2 minutes. You're listening to Inspired Living with Mark and Kim here on OMTimes Radio, the voice of consciousness. We'll be right back.
Conscious media for conscious minds. OMTimes. Join Elliot Jolish, the business therapist, each Tuesday at 5 p.m. Eastern for the Elliot Jolish Hour, as he interviews business experts on your behalf. And you're invited to email your business questions to questions@ecjgroup.com for answers, live, on air every Tuesday at 5 p.m. Eastern on the Elliot Jolish Hour. Being a radio host on IOM-FM allows you to build your show on a rich platform with the power of the Internet to fulfill your outreach goals and connect with a very specialized and global online audience, unlimited by time and distance. OMTimes Radio will provide you with web relevance, a recognizable conscious brand, and with the standard of excellence that has accompanied every single OMTimes endeavor. Host your show with OMTimes Radio Network. Have you ever wondered how to change your love paradigm? The secret key is finding a love partnership, not just a regular connection. How do you find these? Through conscious relationships. Ascending Hearts Dating is a dating site for people like you that believes in second chances and a different type of spiritual connection. Try Ascending Hearts for free today at ascendinghearts.com and change your love paradigm. Ascending Hearts, the premier dating community for the spiritually awake.
Have you bought into the idea that you have to work hard for your money, that business is hard? I will share some dynamic access consciousness tools to get you out of your own way so you can create a business that actually succeeds. Join me, Simone Millisers, on The Joy of Business at 4 p.m. Mondays Eastern.
Are you seeking answers to life questions? Would you like to connect to a departed loved one? Are you suffering from pain, stress, or anxiety? Kimberly Thalkin is a tested, certified, and professional psychic, spiritual medium, energy healer, hypnotherapist, and the founder of Love First, where life transformations happen. Love First Services support, guide, and empower individuals by connecting them to their highest potential to live a healthier, joyful, and meaningful life that's filled with purpose. All services can be done by phone, Skype, or in person in Encino, California. Please visit lovefirst.info. That's LOVEFIRST.info for more information. The best of the holistic, spiritual, and conscious world. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM.
All right. We are back with Inspired Living with Mark and Kim. This is Shamalah-Allah, and I am your special guest. Thank you, Mark and Kim. Take it away.
we thought we'd go total improv there and just have the guest bring us back. We've never done that before, and how fun is that, right?
Yeah.
You did a good job, Shamalah. I tell you what.
Thank you.
Oh, it is so good to be back. Before we left on break, we were talking a little bit about how to hear our angels and the difference between a psychic and spiritual answer. So with that said, let's dive into our first question, because we've got a few of them that have come in. We want to make sure we get through everything, as we know the time goes by very fast here. So the first question has come in, Shamalah, from Eddie in Massachusetts. And he asks, is this a good time for him to leave his corporate job to start his own spiritual practice? Will he be okay financially?
No. It is not a good time for him to leave his corporate job and start his spiritual practice, because the level of confidence is not strong enough for him to start his spiritual practice. I'm sensing a lot of preoccupation with starting. The angelic guidance encourages him to practice a bit more on his business in spirituality, or practice gaining clients a bit more. There has to be some more strategies discussed around starting his spiritual practice first before quitting his job. His readiness is just not there yet.
Okay. So strategy and confidence seemed like two key operative words there in the guidance that came through. And you know what? Let's face it. Confidence is something I think we all work at as we head on our spiritual path. I mean, everybody does, but you know, in this work, it does take a little bit of practice to get comfortable and hearing the messages and working with clients, etc.
Yeah,
right?
He has to be really, really sure. If you want to go out and do this professionally, you have to be really sure. There's a lot of risks involved. You have to have a tremendous amount of confidence. And with this particular question with Eddie, the information I'm getting back is the timing may not be quite right now. And the more spiritual answer is building up that confidence and getting some more practice with what he does before he's ready to quit his job.
Okay, excellent, Shamalah. That was beautiful guidance, and as always, very practical information that comes through. We have another question that's come through from Kathy in Maryland, and she says that she's not currently seeing a gentleman by the name of Thomas, but that they dated for a while. And that she still really loves him and she wants them to get back together, but she feels stuck, and she's sure, like, if they don't get back together, she feels stuck around this, and she's not sure how to get unstuck if they don't get back together.
Kathy, I feel you. It's a tough thing to love someone who may not have the same feelings as you do. Unrequited love is very difficult. The guidance I'm getting in through for you is Thomas may not be as invested in a relationship as you are, and that you'll always feel love for Thomas. That's okay, and that's not a problem. However, there's plenty of room in your heart to find love elsewhere, and we need to get the esteem up again so you can look for love elsewhere while you still love Thomas. There are other people that can love you back in the same way. So the suggestion here for Kathy is to move forward in finding another love, simply because I'm getting that Thomas may not have the same level of feeling, the same level of commitment or investment in you. It takes two people, so we have to accept the rejection. We might feel rejected. We need to accept that, go through acceptance process and move forward to something different.
Or as the old saying go, it takes two to tango, right?
It takes two. Yeah, absolutely, Mark. And it's a tough pill to swallow, but that's what I'm getting, a very direct, strong answer for Kathy.
And Kathy, thank you so much for submitting that question. Again, thank you to all of our inspired listeners out there around the United States and around the world that are participating in the show. We have another question that has come in from Leanne from Canada. She would like to know, Shamalah, what are the next 6 months looking like for her, and where will she be? What do her angels have to say for her direction?
I don't know where Leanne will be. I'm not getting an answer to that. And what's coming up for her in the next 6 months, that's a very general question, Leanne. But let me see what kind of pops through. Okay. I'm getting an interesting answer that Leanne needs to talk more to herself and receive guidance from herself. She may lean on others a little bit too much for guidance and direction. And she needs to focus more on what she would like to do instead of following what others tell her to do. Now, with this question, she was looking for, maybe a psychic answer. What's going to happen in my life in the 6 months? And the answer I got back from the angels was more of a spiritual response, more of a change in perspective in terms of what's going on inside of her head and what's going inside of her thought process. And so the angels suggest that she goes within and communicate to herself a little bit more in terms of what direction she would like to take in her life, because there's a little bit too much of an over-reliance on other people directing her. And with that wisdom, if she's able to follow it and have the strength to take risks in following what she's feeling and thinking inside of her own mind instead of relying on other people telling her what to do, her prosperity and her happiness will go way up. She'll feel a lot more satisfied in life. So thank you, Leanne, for that question. That's a perfect example of a psychic question answered with a spiritual answer.
Great example. Great example.
Now, let me just ask this quickly, Shamalah. When you say talk to herself, are you talking about connecting into her own soul?
Yeah, follow her own thought, follow her own intuition. This answer was more of, everyday kind of just think for yourself. There's something going on with Leanne where she may just over-rely on other people telling her what to do. And she just needs to focus on what she knows she needs to do for herself. So just kind of a real practical way. Tune into her intuition in her own direction.
And Shamalah, would it be fair to say that meditation, exercise, some sort of connecting modality would be the best way for her to do that?
Yeah, sitting in silence is a really great way to build up inner strength. Absolutely, yes.
Perfect. Go ahead, Kim.
I've got a question on that. So I think that touches a little bit on some of what we had discussed yesterday, Shamalah, in preparation for the show when we were talking about fate versus free will.
Ooh, you are right, Kim.
She just went deep. Boom.
That was a boom. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so, fate versus free will. Many people, in my opinion, when they're calling a psychic or calling a spiritual healer or anyone who's connected to the spiritual world in a strong way, the person asking the psychic or the spiritual healer may have the mindset of everything's fated. What's my fate? What's just going to happen? And they forget that a lot of what happens has to do with what they are creating in their lives. The free will. We wake up in the morning and we all make choices with what we're doing with our day. We're not just puppets or sand blowing in the wind. We're actively participating in our lives. And so if a psychic's giving a prediction, really what they're doing is giving you a probability of what will happen based on probably what you've been doing the last 4 years or so. So this has to do with manifesting Manifesting is what you're creating with your choices day by day with free will. Now, certain things are fated, yes, okay? The parents you were born under, the country you were born in, your ethnicity, your hair color, your height, your personality traits, those are all things that you can say are fated. And there may be some big events that happen in your life that are fated in order for the soul to grow. But 85% of what's happening in your life and how it's happening has to do with your free will and what you're creating. And so sometimes people just, drop it all and say, Shamalah, tell me what's going to happen. And to me, that's, I don't get a very good response from the guidance on that. First of all, it's too much information. You need to be responsible and focus on what it is you want to know with a specific question. And with that, the angels will give you additional information to assist you in how to better navigate your life that you're creating and you're taking responsibility for. So that's my answer on fate and free will.
Well, you also touched on something that, in fact, I used this as a quote from our conversation yesterday as my weekly quote on my website, lovefirst.info, every quote of the week. And you had said, people need to be responsible and participate in their own lives.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, heck, what is the psychic supposed to tell you? What is the spiritual healer supposed to tell you if you're just sitting on the couch every day looking at TV and then you want to know when you're going to start your own business, or you want to know when you're going to have that $1 million or go on that vacation, and you're doing absolutely nothing informing that. So, again, spiritual guidance, if they were to answer those kinds of questions, it's going to start with step one, whichever that is, building courage, going out and getting some exercise, changing your thought paradigm to get you going, get to that first step. So it's a tricky thing. I think we can all feel victim to the fate, to what is my fate? And just, have someone carry me and tell me everything. That's not what we're on Inspired Living. We're inspiring
people
their lives.
And we'll be back in 2 minutes with Shamalah-Allah talking about angel communication.
Conscious media for conscious minds. OMTimes.
This is Terry Van Horn, and I want to invite you to join me for my weekly radio show, Healing Light, on OMTimes Radio every Wednesday at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. On Healing Light, we want to bring love, light, and blessings into your world. You can find out more about us at www.healinglightonline.com. Blessings.
Host your show on IOM-FM, the radio network of OMTimes Media, one of the more recognized brand names in the conscious community, and is backed by the extensive marketing reach of OMTimes. Hosting a show on IOM-FM immediately connects you with our extensive dedicated community. Simone Milasas would like you to know that business can be fun, which is why she wrote the book, Joy of Business. What if you could have the joy of business rather than the stress and struggle? Most of the time, the only thing stopping you from a thriving business is you. In the Joy of Business book, Simone gives you access consciousness tools and pragmatic ways to get out of your own way and to create the business, life, and living you know is possible and beyond what this reality says is achievable. Business is joy. It's creation. It's generative. It can be the adventure of living. You can purchase your copy of the book through Amazon or Joy of Business website, www.accessjoyofbusiness.com. One planet, 7.3 billion people, only one you. Life offers us many opportunities and learning experiences. Are you ready to explore and discover this beautiful planet, the life and energy all around us, the spiritual world, and what is unseen, along with your own personal soul adventure? Mark Lanehart, the intuitive prospector, is the spiritual connection you have been prospecting for. Internationally known as a tested and professional clairvoyant medium and spiritual advisor, Mark's work as a metaphysical teacher, medical instructor, radio show host, inspirational writer, and hiking guide are here to help you on a journey of self-discovery, healing, inspiration, education, and a whole lot of spiritual awesomeness. Dare to dream. Dare to explore. Dare to live. For more information on Mark's spiritual practice in Seattle, Washington, please visit marklanehart.com or internet search The Intuitive Prospector.
Matt Connerton here. Join Jen Coffey and I twice a week for Matt Connerton Unleashed, a political talk show that's a little different than what you're used to. No liberal or conservative agenda here, just an honest dialogue about truth and how things really work in the world of politics. Matt Connerton Unleashed, every Tuesday and Thursday night at 11 p.m. Eastern on OMTimes Radio.
Free your mind. Expand your soul. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM.
And welcome back to Inspired Living with Mark and Kim here on OMTimes Radio, the voice of consciousness. We have a lot of questions that are piling up on the Facebook page. Again, if you want to go over and ask a question, we'll do our best to get it live to air. Shamalah, the question I have, actually, from Mark in Seattle, what are the angels saying for the forecast in 2016? What kind of year, being that it's the month of November and 2016 is right around the corner, what are the angels saying that 2016 is going to look like for all of us on this planet?
You know, Mark, I hate to disappoint you, but the angels, at least maybe the kind of angels I communicate to you, they don't do forecasts like that on global kinds of things.
Okay.
You know what they do? This is a perfect topic to talk about, Mark, because each psychic or spiritual healer, rather, works differently and will connect to different kinds of information. The information I connect to, or rather the angels share through me, is about the person's soul, individual soul, and how it's progressing through the karma and emotional healing. So any question around a person's life that pertains to that, I'll get an answer. It could be about also about animals or health also. But when it comes to, say, global kinds of things or the year for society, I don't get any information on that.
Do you ever get any kind of sense of like a collective consciousness, or I know 2016 in numerology adds up to the year of the 9, which is all about humanitarian and coming together. I was just curious if the angels ever give you any kind of messages at all as people, start to meditate. Children are meditating. More and more people are becoming consciousness. I was just curious if you ever had any kind of connection point at all with that.
Oh, that's a good question. No, not at all. I know of some healers that do that kind of work and get that kind of information. But through me, I just don't pick up on that, or they don't say anything around that. But I do agree with you. More and more people are becoming more conscious, and I think that's wonderful. But I get a blank. Like I have no connection when people ask those kinds of questions.
Okay, that's fair enough.
Mm-hmm. And that's another thing, Mark. If somebody asks me a question and I don't get an answer, I'll just tell them I didn't get an answer. I'm not going to make it up.
No, and you shouldn't. As a professional, I totally agree with you. You gotta take the responsibility. Remember, we talked about responsibility, and that's a responsibility of us as light workers to be able to say, you know what, I'm sorry, my dear, I'm just not getting anything, and maybe this other person would work better with you. Yeah.
Now totally listen to me, Mark. Hey, listen. You know what your angels are saying?
Oh, yes. Go. I'm ready.
You are a wonderful teacher.
Oh,
you need to do classes. Are you doing classes?
I'm not for the rest of this year, but I am gearing up for 2016 to teach a lot of metaphysics classes and workshops. Yeah.
Your angels want you to do classes. Keep up your meditations. Don't meditate too hard, and don't think too hard. You might think too hard while you're meditating. Just relax. They're giving you an applause, and just keep up those classes. You're doing some groundbreaking work. And you, Mark, most likely will get those kinds of global consciousness answers through the angels. That definitely will be your area, your expertise.
Oh, interesting. Thank you so much for that.
You're welcome.
So it seems, Shamalah, that your specialty then is working on a micro level rather than a macro level, and everybody's got their specialties. right?
Yes.
All right.
That is it. You got it. I'm micro.
You're micro. All right. We've got a question that's come in from Kevin in North Carolina. He said that he attempted suicide a week ago, but the gun didn't go off, even though it was loaded. He's not sure who stopped it or why it didn't go off. He'd like to know whatever you have around that, but also how does he move past the depression and anger that he feels? And this was something that came up in part 1 last week, depression being a real issue out there.
Well, the information I'm hearing from Kevin's guidance is there's some work to be done around judgment, not to judge himself so harshly, and to never give up. He may give up too easily on tasks or on things that seem like are not going his way. And then when something doesn't go his way, he'll just, Kevin may just plummet down to the lowest point. And the information I'm getting from his angels is it's not necessary to take in things happening around you so heavily, and to not give up and not to judge himself so harshly. It's very unnecessary. He needs to get some better rest as well, not sleeping at all. So really the answer to his question is to get better sleep and to figure out how to get better rest. Once he gets better rest and his mind and his body has a chance to rejuvenate on a daily basis, then he'll be less inclined to falling into depression and going to those really negative states of mind in terms of giving up and being so harsh on himself. So he really needs to focus on better sleep each day. That's the answer to Kevin's question from his angels.
Wow, very good. I know that sleep, seems like such well, of course everybody needs to sleep, but not everybody is getting the right amounts or doing it in the way. I mean, it is a really important part of our lives in many different areas, right?
Kim, let me tell you something. This was years ago, but I had a client. She was 16 years old, and it was with her mother, and the doctors had given up on her because she was psychotic. And the mother went to me as a last resort, and I saw them both in person. And the only answer to her dilemma was that she was sleep deprived. And let me tell you, the worst forms of torture in the world is sleep deprivation. Okay. Mm-hmm. And when I questioned this little girl about her sleep, she says, yeah, she spent 3-4 o'clock in the morning talking to her friends. The mother couldn't get her off that phone and couldn't get that little child to go to bed on time. And then years later, she's going psychotic, and she's been to all these psychiatrists, and she was sleep deprived. That was why she was going psychotic. So when I get the information to get some sleep, it's serious. It's because your brain has to rejuvenate. And if you can't figure out how to sleep, you need to make it a focus in your life and make it a priority until you figure it out and until it happens. You may have to sacrifice some television. You need to sacrifice some of your social life, but you don't want to sacrifice your life just because you couldn't get no sleep. How stupid is that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's something that's available to us. It's just us making the commitment to do it. So thank you for your question, Kevin, and thank you to the angels for that. We've got one more. We're going to be heading to break in a few minutes here, but this one's comes in from Jeff in California. What I love about this, we've got a lot of questions coming in from men. Yay!
Yes.
So usually
yes,
the women that are on top of that. So Jeff is having challenges in his home life and his career. And he says things have been cloudy and hard for him to see. So the scenarios, he and his wife have been laid off. They both want a divorce, but don't have the finances to do it right now. They have a 2-year-old. Mm-hmm. He's not sure what his next step should be in his career. Does he continue with being a graphic designer, or does he pursue a whole new career in landscape or landscape design? Finally, he has 2 job opportunities right now. One pays better, but no set days, and the other pays less, but more hours. So what does he do to get his life on track and these two opportunities in front of him? That is a loaded question.
Yeah.
A lot going on there,
Yeah,
but you can see how people get overwhelmed with scenarios like this.
Yeah, they need to book some appointments with you all, okay? And me too, because come on now, we need to spend a good hour discussing the nooks and crannies of this.
There you go.
The information I'm getting for Jeff is that he's a good person. He's not a bad person. He has to start on that foundation. He's good. He's fine. There's nothing wrong with him, okay? Things will work out over time. However, with the divorce situation, I really don't see a divorce for Jeff, okay? That's me being the psychic. The angels are not really commenting on the divorce status at all, to be honest with you. Now, with a job offer between graphic designer and landscaper, the angels suggest sticking with graphic design. And between the two jobs, he may want to go for the job that pays less but with more hours.
Okay.
For some reason, that job comes up as better for him because of his temperament and his personality. The description around that job better matches how he is naturally, and so he'll be more inclined to enjoy the job and move further with that job and stay stable with it instead of going through highs and lows and changing jobs. That comes up more stable over the long haul. But the graphic design is good to stick with for now.
Mm-hmm. And it was also a union position, correct, Kim?
Yes, it was.
Yeah, so a little bit more job security around that being union, yeah.
Yeah, the security, but also too somehow his temperament better fits that job as well. The pay less with more hours, that fits his style a lot better. So he'll be a lot more relaxed and calm and happier at work, and it'll just help him get through this tough time a little bit easier than say the other job.
Yeah, and that's important.
He's supposed to know that he's a good person, so he's beating himself up too much, and he's being really mean to himself. This is within his head, okay, the angels are saying, and he needs to be much more nice so he can get through this tough time, but he'll be all right.
All right. Well, thank you for that question. We're going to go to a quick 2-minute break. We'll be right back here on Inspired Living with Mark and Kim and our special guest, Shamalah-Allah.
Connecting you with the best of the conscious minds in the world. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM.
Are you ready to shift your energy, consciousness, and limiting beliefs? Join me, Shefali Burns, every Monday at 5 p.m. Eastern on Shifting with Shefali here on OMTimes Radio. Shift the blocks, limitations, and negative energies that have kept you from experiencing a life filled with joy, peace, love, abundance, and happiness. Are you ready to shift with Shefali? Are you ready to shine your brilliance?
Host your show on IOM FM, the radio network of OMTimes Media, one of the more recognized brand names in the conscious community, and is backed by the extensive marketing reach of OMTimes. Hosting a show on IOM FM immediately connects you with our extensive dedicated community. Are you trying to get from point A to point B and need a little advice? Connect with the counselors at OMTimes Advisors. Whether you're looking for a life coach or a spiritual intuitive, the advisors participating at advisors.omtimes.com were carefully chosen based on their gifts, skills, and professionalism. OMTimes Advisors, connecting you with the best advisors in the business.
Have you been searching for a perspective beyond the mainstream? Check it out. Join your hosts Cielito Pascual and Diana Gold Holland on Share International Radio for thought-provoking views behind the news, Sundays at 1 p.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. Eastern on OMTimes Radio. You can also find us at shareontheairradio.org. This may be the message of hope you've been waiting for.
the best of the conscious minds in the world. OMTimes Radio, your conscious lifestyle on steroids.
Hey there, welcome back to Inspired Living with Mark and Kim here on OMTimes Radio. We are cruising along. We're in the last section of the show. Thanks again to all of our inspired listeners for all of your questions. Shamalah-Allah, you're doing a fantastic job of giving feedback and what the angels are telling you and describing the difference between a psychic answer and what a spiritual answer is from the angels. We have a couple more questions that we do want to bring live to air and get your questions answered as best as we can before we wrap up the show. Tiffany from California, her question for you, Shamalah, if you want to tune into her energy. Tiffany, thanks for the question. Mm-hmm. Seems as though lately I have a lot of unanswered questions, and I feel kind of in limbo with my job, selling my house, moving in with my boyfriend. Can you tell me if and when will I be moving in with my boyfriend? And that's Tiffany from California.
Okay. Let's see, Tiffany. It doesn't show me you'll be moving in with your boyfriend anytime soon. Because for you, Tiffany, it shows me that you're not sure if that's what you really want to do. And that's why you're feeling you're in limbo. You're not sure. And you really don't want to do something too much before you're ready to do it, especially something like moving in with your boyfriend. So the advice from your angels I'm getting is to relax, calm down, do one step at a time. They're giving me this feeling you're not ready. There's a lot of hesitation in moving in with the boyfriend, and that's where a lot of the fear and the doubt is coming up inside of you in terms of, feeling in limbo about your whole life. There's really nothing wrong with what's happening in your life. It's just that you're just not ready to move in. Maybe you think you should, or maybe the timing is such that you think you're supposed to, but you're really not ready. So we need to honor that. So the angels say, hold back on living in with the boyfriend. Everything else is fine.
Perfect. And again, thanks so much, Tiffany, for that question. We hope that helps and that guidance that you'll tune into that and follow that guidance as well. We have another question going to the middle of the United States now in Colorado. Suzette wants to know, I know I will get my dream job, but what I'm not sure of is will my next full-time job be my dream job, or will it be close to being my dream job? Or will it be a few years, however long, before I find my dream job? So it looks like Suzette is looking for her dream job either for this next job or down the line in a few years.
Okay. I don't know if Suzette's going to wring my neck or what, but
just give what you get. Just give what you get.
She each time she gets a job, it shows it does get closer and closer to her dream job, okay, whatever that is. However, the criteria around what her dream job is constantly keeps shifting. So it's like she's constantly chasing this dangling carrot. Mm-hmm. So I feel as though as she keeps going, jobs will continue to improve and get better. But she doesn't want to, really live her whole life like, oh, I never got my dream job. She needs to be aware that as she gets better and better jobs, she'll keep recreating a different scenario of what that dream job is and want to go for that. So she's just a person that likes to grow really fast and keep things, moving and improving. And that's how she is. And it'll be like that. So the word of wisdom I'm getting from her angelic guidance is to keep going for your dreams, but also recognize and appreciate the aspects of the dream that you already have now, because for the remainder of your life, your goals and your aspirations will keep going higher and higher, and you're always going to keep growing and growing. So she just needs to live more in the moment and be happy in that so she can get some sense of satisfaction before it's her time to leave this earth.
And that ties into our positive affirmation for the month of November, right? Our blessings being a lot more than our shortcomings or our problems. She had one last section of that, Shamalah. She's saying, what can I do to find my dream job? Is there any recommendations you could tune in to help her find her dream job?
She has to do research.
She has to put in the work. What you put in, you get out, right? Is that what you're saying?
Research. Yeah, research. And sometimes, too, people might have an idea of what their dream job is, and they're afraid to do it or apply it because they're afraid they're going to fail. And it's like you're never going to really know until you do it. So there's some risk involved. But I hear research for Suzette.
Perfect. And Suzette, thank you so much for that question. Let's bring another question to air. Kim?
Yes, so this question's come from Michelle in California, and she says that she's worried about her children. She says all three of them are dealing with a lot of stuff, while her stepdaughter, she feels, is living a charmed life, that her husband never causes waves or dotes on her in every way, so she's living a charmed life. This is her impression. And then she, Michelle, is dealing with all of her own stuff, spiritual work, business work, financial issues. And she feels that her stepdaughter may not be living a charmed life, while her children may not be, because of all the things that she's going through. Is she doing something wrong? She says, I feel like I have always struggled, and I guess my fear is that they will too. And she gets very sad about that.
Let me tell you something, Michelle in California. Do not look into other people's windows. Okay? If you want to keep looking at everybody's grass being greener than yours, you will always be sad. You will always be depressed, and everyone is doing better than you and your daughters. I'm not going to buy it. I'm not going to discuss it. Change the perception. What you're doing wrong is you have incorrect perception. You look at your situation in the whole, and you love that stepdaughter. And you appreciate her and be happy that she has these blessings in her life that she deserves. And you look at your life and your biological daughters and look at the blessings that you have, and you be grateful and demonstrate a gratitude that you have what you have. But do not compare your life and what your daughters have to the stepdaughter, because you will always be in a state of discord and anger. So you need to stop the thinking, the incorrect thinking, okay? Your angels say that you are very blessed. You choose not to see it. You choose not to see it. That's the answer. You choose not to see it, Michelle. If you were talking to me on this phone as a private client, I would be talking to you in the same way. This is a big no-no in the spiritual world, because it leads to depression and despair. And angels don't do depression and despair like this. You're creating your own problem, Michelle. Thank you.
Okay. And isn't that something? Okay, this is very interesting, because this does seem to be a running theme, doesn't it?
Listen to me, Kim. Listen to me. I will not. I will kick people in the butt a little bit if I have to get it through their heads, because it has to stop. I mean, we all live in the United States. We're not living in some third world country here. There's a lot to appreciate. And we cannot keep comparing. There's always going to be people that are worse off than Michelle. There's always going to be like the children who are homeless and hungry, who don't even have access to education, are worse off, I'm sure, than Michelle's bio daughters. Comparison to the stepdaughter, you're not even supposed to compare. It's not even a discussion.
Yep. And such simple advice, but yet so powerful, right? I mean, it changes everything when we change our perspective.
Yeah, she needs to listen to your quote for the day. Blessings outweigh the burdens. That's what Michelle needs to do, is to practice that like a mantra, to get all these kinks. The way she's thinking will destroy the entire family and her own life and her daughter's life. The daughters will take on this habitual thinking of, look what they have. Their life is better than mine. Look at them. Da, 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 da. This drives me nuts. Disney needs to stop that.
Yep. Okay, change your perception, change your thoughts. Yep.
Yes.
It all starts with your thoughts. And I always say, make a choice, take a chance, and watch the changes of your life unfold. And it's very, very important. I totally agree with that, Shamalah.
I know I sound mean, huh?
No, not at all. You're speaking spiritual truth, and you're up to give, spiritual butt kicks if people need it. And that's what we're here for.
Okay.
All right. Well, as we get to the end of the show, I can't believe how fast this show went. Kim, real quick, you have an event coming up, and before we announce that, Shamalah, how can people book a reading with you and get in touch with you so they can get that spiritual butt kicking that they need?
They can go to my website, Shamalah.com, AMALAH.com. They can call me on my home office phone number, 650-719-0097, or they can email me. If they go to my website, there's an email, and they can just connect with the email and schedule an appointment. And that way I can give a lot more detail to the answers to the questions.
Perfect. Well, thanks so much for being our special guest. Part 2 of the Angel series. We'll definitely have you back in 2016. This is so much fun talking about all the different aspects of angels and working from a spiritual sense and a psychic sense. And Shamalah, you've been a great guest, and we'll look forward to having you back. And
Thank you.
Kim, you have a big announcement for an expo and workshop that's coming up. Would you like to tell the inspired listeners where they can find you and meet you in person?
I do. Thank you. Actually, it's just an upcoming class that I have. I've done some of the expos already. Woohoo! That went really well. I was so excited to meet some of you folks in person and to be able to be privileged to read for you as well. But I am hosting a class on November 14th from 9 to 5 p.m. in Encino, California. It is on mediumship and spiritual development. So if you are interested in learning how to connect with the spirit world and also how to connect to yourself, because a lot of this is going to be connecting to your own soul, understanding where you are on your own path, please visit me at lovefirst.info. You go under services and classes and sign up for a class today. It's going to be a great day with spirit. So thank you so much.
That's great.
Next week's guest is our special guest and my good friend Darcy Pariso, talking all about animal communications and what our animals are saying to us. You can find more about Inspired Living at OMTimes Radio. And until next week, thanks for listening in. Be kind, be caring, be compassionate. Namaste.